If Blackjack would please get off the table, we can get started.
I think we need to get a piano under Terry.
Is there a piano here?
No, you'd be like one of those old 50s singers where you're like laying on the piano.
That's what I mean.
Okay, I'm back.
Except we need a better looking character.
Hey.
Ooh.
Hey.
Considering how many people at this table probably hate me, I need a seat against the wall.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get you.
Oh god, it's really good.
I think this will be good for our first meeting. Come on, Fleabag.
He's taking a cat nap. Ooh.
Okay, so I'm Terry, and I'm sitting at the bell here.
Alright, I'm Grobnar, I'm Solari, and I'm sitting over here.
Howdy, this is Wolf Kaiser.
This is Ace Phoenix.
Anyone notice?
Sorry.
Anyone notice the char dancing in the background?
I do.
It is not me.
And it's not you.
That's surprising.
Well, I'm Mormo, and I'm right here.
And I'm the giant awesome kitty in the middle. I am Blackjack.
Oh god, with the extra effects and everything, we're very impressed.
Gotta make an entrance.
You want to make an
Together
entrance?
we are the Rooster Teeth Drunk Tanks. Welcome
That's
to
how you
our
make an
first
entrance.
weekly recap.
Oh god. And now my screen is chaos. So, other than the random chaotic effects that sometimes happen, a couple things that we wanted to go through are first, bug fixes, which is nice. The guild chat and things like that seem to be working better, as well as the mailing system. We're thinking that the trading post might be actually working now. Has anyone confirmed that it's still working?
It's staying up for me. We haven't had any official post through Guild Wars or Internet saying that it is up permanently, but it is in working order for at least half the population as of the last update on it.
Okay.
The mail system, I know for a fact, is up and running permanently now, unless there's another unexpected bug that crashes it or people are exploiting somehow.
Which is good. World versus World, I don't know how many of you guys have been playing that, but from what we know, they're still resetting it to balance, so it's not like at a set time right now.
Yes, it was actually late at night, not yesterday, but the day before, I believe. I know I was there when it happened.
One thing I wanted to address was the representing rank, and how I'm thinking we should probably do a 5th rank and even possibly a 6th, and that's kind of open for discussion.
Yes. For those other worlders, so to speak, those people that are off the server,
Right.
but still in the guild, perhaps we could create another rank for them, like a liaison or something, so to speak. That way they could perhaps at least spread the word about us to other servers. Perhaps in the future at some point, if they stay on a different server, we could give them permissions to establish a variant of our guild on that server. That way we could spread our influence. At this point, I noticed, at least in the guild, there are only a handful of us that are actively playing together. Chat's pretty active, but as far as team play goes, we aren't really there yet. People are still getting established, figuring out where they want to do, what they want to do in game.
I think to help promote that, maybe when people get a little bit higher level, we can start doing like guild dungeon runs and stuff. Because I know a lot of people, it's hard sometimes to find a group for the story mode, and once we get that done, we can just run the dungeons as many times as we want, especially since it scales.
Yes, I would most certainly like to have group dungeons, at least once a month. Once a month something I personally plan on doing myself and would like to invite other guild members to do, is truly live up to our Drunk Tank's name, and once a month have a dungeon or special event area that we clear through, entirely drunk. We have to be authentic here, right?
Absolutely.
Aye.
And when do we want to start doing like World versus World stuff? Like, how long do you think that should take?
Just personally, I'm starting to do World versus World now. Larvax is also starting to get into World versus World. Once you hit level 80 right now, there isn't a whole lot of in-game content, and the majority of it seems to be fairly buggy. So I just think that, for the most part, it seems that our level 80s are going to be getting, or higher level players are going to start getting into World versus World, maybe.
And what, for you guys who have been in there, what level would you recommend for people, like an effective
30.
level? 30?
Yeah, 30.
30 bare minimum.
Okay.
I'd say 50 is really the best effective level, and if you're 80, you can destroy a lot of things.
I see. I'm 28. You guys just hate me. I can't go in.
That's right.
Oh, you can go in. It's just, at some point, it's just not going to be as effective for you to be in there. Like, especially if you don't have all your skills and that kind of thing.
That's why 30 is such a key thing, is because that you really need those couple of extra skills there.
Especially your elite.
Yeah, the elite is such a huge deal.
Anyone want to bring up some of the bug fixes or updates to the game? Personally, one I'd like to bring up is bot bans. That permanent bans for botting have been reinstituted. I don't believe they are any longer doing the 72-hour bans. Just to get it out there, why would you bot in this game anyway? You can buy gems with gold, but you cannot sell gems for real cash unless you're doing third-party stuff that's illegal anyway. So please, don't bot in our game.
To go a bit off the bans, also they also banned people that were abusing the karma vendors, the racial karma vendors for for racial weapons rather. Mm-hmm. There were 1,000 karma points, and people were abusing that, and they were buying hordes of them essentially, and they banned a bunch of people and fixed it. But they are giving those people a second chance to apply that. They're going to change the permanent ban to a 72-hour ban if you promise to get rid of all the weapons you bought with the karma. And if you do not delete those weapons, they will permanently ban you. I think that was on one of their Facebook posts, or maybe it was on Twitter. They said, basically, if, there are obviously people that didn't really know that it was an exploit and they bought a few. Those people either got a 72-hour ban, or they just, let it go because, not everyone knows. They didn't play the beta or whatever.
Right, but I think the point they were making, which is what they went out on Facebook and Twitter and everything else and said, was you know what you're doing when you're exploiting the game. You're not stupid. And some people have openly admitted that, which was at least cool of them. It's not like you're going, oh look, it's something 1,000, let me just buy 1,000,000 of that, because that's total normal behavior. No one's doing that.
Yes,
Right.
Also I'd just like to make the point, I've heard of other exploits that people have been using, such as experience exploits. People being banned for that, so if you do find an exploit in the game, don't exploit it, just pass it up, move on, and keep going on with the game.
Actually, even better than that, report it. That's what they want people to do, essentially. They've created their own, I think, email address for that as well.
Yes, of course, report it.
It's better to be safe than sorry. If you think something's an exploit, chances are it probably is, and just don't even mess around with it.
I'd like to bring up skills if y'all have any input into it. Personally, my main character is a warrior. I believe we all here have played the beta. For the warrior class during the beta, we had a skill, a shout, called I Will Avenge You. Some of y'all might be familiar with from the original Guild Wars. Mm-hmm. Guild Wars 2. It caused swiftness, regeneration, and revived any downed but not defeated players in its effective radius. Since the launch of the game, that skill has been removed and replaced with another shout called On My Mark, which causes 10 stacks of vulnerability for 11 seconds on a single target. The wiki is still a little bit shaky. They haven't been posting their patch notes or updates on there yet, so I haven't seen any reason why this change has been made, but it's something I'd like to point out to you warrior players out there. It was a skill that I enjoyed using during the beta, and am curious why it's not there anymore. Anyone else with skills, suggestions, questions, or comments?
Use signets.
Like equip them or use them?
Both.
Gravnar, you appear to be a ranger. Do you have any comments you'd like to make about the status of the pet system right now?
As far as I can tell, it works very well. The pets I use normally are the bear and the Morello, which is just a really weird-looking guy. He looks like a rat.
Ooh.
He's
That's pretty.
pretty nasty. and he casts poison. I feel like those two are the strongest because they have, what's it called? Defy Pain, so they don't take damage at some points. I really like them. I found this guy in Metrica Province, I think. So I'd recommend getting one of them if you can. One thing I have noticed with the pets is the names are still glitched. So if you switch out a pet to a different type, it'll erase its name. So that's kind of annoying, but it's not a big deal.
Well, it would be nice if they fixed that. I mean, that was the same way it was in beta, so.
Actually, I want to throw my 2 cents here on Guardians real quick that I've seen that's been a bit of a problem. Use your spirit weapons. Don't let them run out. That hammer is a great knockback for when you're in trouble.
Yeah, the sword and the hammer both, they have a... Hold on, let me... They have something called command. It'll do a special ability. The sword, it will be destroyed and just do massive damage to the location that it is. And the hammer, when you command it, it will knock down the target, but also destroy the hammer too. So I wouldn't use it like immediately. Just if it's about to run out, it's something really, really useful to use.
Well, yeah, and if you're going for a support guardian, these two right here, the bow and the shield, when you release the bow, it will just do an AoE condition cleanse, and the shield puts up a nice Aegis on everybody around it when you pop it. It's very, very helpful to keep yourself alive or your team. Actually, I use it when I'm using the Greatsword or Warhammer because you just don't really have much defense at that point. It's really helpful. Remember, use those. They are your friends.
Going somewhere there, Grovnar?
Yeah, I hit R on auto target, and he just started to walk away from me.
As far as I found for the Necromancer, the Lich form is actually the best elite that there is. It's the second tier elite. It's costs 30 skill points, plus you need 2 of the previous ones, so it's a total 50 skill points. But at least in World versus World, when I use my primary attack, I'm doing over 2,500 damage to players, which is 10% of any player's health at that level. So it is very good at destroying players, especially in PvP.
Yes. With Warrior, at least, I've noticed that as long as you know how to use your weapon skill set, there are no inviolable builds out there. Certainly, some are better for survivability than others. For instance, the mace and shield combination is the best combination for blocking and interrupting your opponents. It's better for survivability than, say, the hammer. The hammer's good for control, though. Has some knockbacks, some knockdowns. So it really depends on your play style. Everyone can support in one way or another. So far, it looks like they've really balanced all the skill combinations across the classes so far. As far as how well it's done, we'll see in the future. If people get pigeonholed in certain combinations or not. Long story short, there are a number of good combinations, and I recommend any player out there, especially if you're new to the game, listen to suggestions other people have about builds, but feel free and encouraged even to explore and discover new builds and build combinations for yourself. As long as you do it intelligently, you'll find that there are many, many different viable playstyles out there for you. It's just how well you execute them.
And to go off that a little bit, if you get the chance, do a dungeon. It really, I can't stress it enough, it just teaches you your class really well, because you just have to really learn to adapt, and it'll help you figure out what your preferred playstyle is. Because I know before I did the first dungeon, the Catacombs, I did not use a greatsword or a mace or anything of that. I switched to that just to get a better playstyle for myself and my group.
Yeah, on the same note, World vs. World does that too. When I started going into World vs. World, I already had the build that I'm using currently, but I was using it in a lackadaisical style, and now I've made it a lot more tighter and cleaner and figured out exactly which skills I could use in which order for greatest effectiveness. But I've heard that even at level 80, the dungeon loot scales to your level. So, no matter what level you are, you can go back and do level 30 dungeons or level 40 dungeons and whatnot.
Yep, I think that's what they said originally. The developers said they would do. So I'm hoping they stick with that.
Something that might be a good point to bring up, I'm wondering myself, is these lower level dungeons, after you get a certain number of tokens, you can turn them in for the armor. I'm curious as to whether or not you can turn in these tokens for armor that is appropriate for level. Like if you do a level 30 dungeon, if you can turn in those tokens for level 80 quality armor, or if you'll have to use a fine transmutation stone on them. Without looking, I would have to guess that ArenaNet is having us use the fine transmutation stones, which you can either buy for gems in the gem store, or get lucky and find them as area completion rewards throughout the world. Randomly.
Right.
Or you can get them out of chests with keys. Actually, on that note, I was wondering, are those, what are they exactly? Tokens?
Token rewards specific to that dungeon. Each time you complete a mini boss in the dungeon, and when you complete the dungeon overall at the reward chest.
Because I ran a level 80 dungeon a couple days ago, and I didn't actually notice that I was getting any of those.
I think it's only in explorable mode.
Okay, I wasn't sure if we were in exploring or story mode, so that makes sense.
Yes, it's a very good point to bring up. At the end of story mode, we get, what is it, one rare item as tradition, unique to that area?
I think so.
Okay.
I want to say that sounds right.
Was there anything else that we wanted to do or cover?
I say drunken dance party on the table.
I second.
We can
Okay,
end with
drunken
that,
dance
yeah,
party.
that'd be great.
What a fine looking group of people. So you guys know, also a little shout out, guild armor is available. We will have weapons as soon as we can in the queue. So you can go and pick up those if you haven't already, as well as backpacks. Anything else to add? Because we are wrapping up now.
Yeah. Hey, as an outro, would y'all be interested in unison trying to say, this has been the Rooster Teeth Drunk Tanks Weekly Recap, Edition 1?
Can we get through that without stuttering?
That would be
I've already
difficult.
forgotten it. I've already forgotten it.
Okay, let's let Wolf say it, and we're all gonna
Okay.
wave as soon as he's done, alright?
Sure.
Sounds better.
I'll come to attention and say it. Thank you for watching. This is the Rooster Teeth Drunk Tanks, and this has been our weekly recap, Edition 1, Week 1. Thank you for joining.
Next time we need a theme song.
I second.
Go.
No Gino beats.
You drunk, Plant, you drunk.
Yeah.
How does that even work? You metabolize it differently than we do.
I have no
He's
idea.
a cannibal. He's eating his own kind.
Kind of, I guess.
Is that me?
Who's going next?
We didn't really.
We didn't establish pass. Okay, I would assume we're going alphabetical, so Phoenix,
Okay.
here.
I look like I'm about to nod off or puke, though.
Puke, because you have something weird coming out of you right now. No dancing on tables. You're not even drunk. Get down.
I'm so tiny I can sit on the fucking backrest.
So where's the firewater?